Born into privilege, destined for greatness, yet fate had other plans. Prince Al-Walid bin Khalid bin Talal Al Saud, known as Saudi Arabia's sleeping prince, spent over 20 years in a coma that captured the world's heart. This is the heartbreaking true story of hope, love, and loss. Born on April 18, 1990, Prince Al-Walid bin Khalid bin Talal Al Saud entered the world with a destiny already written in gold. As a member of the House of Saud, one of the most powerful royal families on earth, his life was surrounded by privilege, prestige, and purpose. He was the eldest son of Prince Khalid bin Talal and the nephew of billionaire Prince Al-Walid bin Talal, a name synonymous with wealth and global influence. But here's what's surprising. Despite being born into unimaginable luxury, Al-Walid was known for his humility and discipline. He wasn't the kind of prince obsessed with titles or fame. From a young age, he talked about serving his country, not ruling it. Can you believe it? At just 15 years old, he left the royal comfort of Riyadh and enrolled in a military college in London. Yes, you heard that right. A Saudi prince training in uniform, enduring drills, and following orders just like any other cadet. He dreamed of becoming a military officer, serving his nation with honor. Those who knew him described him as focused, kind-hearted, and determined, a young royal with a rare sense of duty. No one could have guessed that this same prince, full of ambition and promise, would soon face a twist of fate so tragic, it would silence him for 2 decades. But fate, as it often does, had other plans. In 2005, while studying in the United Kingdom, Prince Al-Walid's life took a turn no one could have imagined. One late night after finishing his training, he got behind the wheel for a routine drive that would change everything forever. Reports say his car lost control and collided violently, leaving behind twisted metal and shattered glass on a quiet London road. The impact was so severe, it caused massive brain trauma and internal bleeding. Emergency teams rushed to the nearest hospital, fighting to keep him alive through the night. Doctors had to induce a coma to control the swelling in his brain. For weeks, his family and friends waited outside the ICU, praying for a miracle. And then came the words no parent should ever have to hear. Prince Al-Walid had slipped into a persistent vegetative state. Still, his family didn't give up. He was flown from London to top facilities in the US and Spain, where specialists tried every possible treatment. Can you believe it? A young prince, once strong, athletic, and full of dreams, now lies motionless, kept alive by machines. When hope of medical recovery faded, the family brought him back home to King Abdulaziz Medical City in Riyadh, where a dedicated team of doctors would care for him around the clock. It was meant to be temporary, but days turned into months, and months into years. The sleeping prince was now part of a royal vigil that would last more than 2 decades, defying both medicine and imagination. They say a father's love knows no limits, and Prince Khalid bin Talal proved it for the world to see. From the moment his son slipped into a coma, he refused to believe that life was gone, no matter what doctors or science said. When medical experts advised ending life support, Prince Khalid stood firm. His words echoed through the halls of King Abdulaziz Medical City. Only God decides when his soul departs. For over 2 decades, that belief became his mission. The family reportedly spent millions on medical equipment, foreign consultations, and round-the-clock specialists, ensuring the prince had every possible chance at recovery. Clerics, neurologists, and spiritual advisors visited frequently, offering both medical insight and prayers for divine healing. Prince Khalid was a constant presence by his son's bedside. Witnesses often saw him seated quietly, reciting verses from the Quran, holding his son's hand, and whispering words of comfort, as though his voice could guide him back from the silence. Isn't that incredible? 20 years and he never missed a visit. This unwavering faith turned him into a symbol of devotion across the Arab world. Many admired his strength, calling it a reflection of pure belief and parental endurance. He once said that even if the world stopped believing, he would continue praying, because miracles happen to those who never give up. Through every year of uncertainty, Prince Khalid's persistence kept hope alive, not just within the royal family, but among millions who followed the sleeping prince's story and saw in it a powerful reminder of faith that refuses to surrender. But then, after years of silence and uncertainty, something extraordinary happened. Between 2013 and 2015, small clips began to circulate online, videos showing Prince Al-Walid's fingers twitching or his head moving ever so slightly. At first, people thought it was an illusion, a trick of the camera. But when more recordings surfaced, the world took notice. Could it be that the sleeping prince was finally responding? Medical experts were divided. Some argued the movements were involuntary reflexes, common in long-term coma patients. Others suggested there might be traces of partial consciousness, tiny flickers of awareness that medicine still couldn't fully explain. But to his family, there was no doubt. These were signs of divine mercy. Prince Khalid, who had never once given up, saw the videos as proof that his prayers were being heard. He moved because God willed it, he said in interviews, his voice trembling with emotion. The videos went viral across Saudi Arabia and beyond, gaining millions of views. Social media was flooded with prayers and messages of hope, with people calling him a living miracle. Hashtags like Sleeping Prince trended across the Middle East, and strangers from around the world began sending letters to the royal family, expressing support and admiration. Doctors reported moments of stable vitals and mild responsiveness to sound and touch, giving the family another reason to keep believing. Those few seconds of movement, as simple as a finger lifting, rekindled a global wave of optimism. After years of despair, the world began to wonder, could the sleeping prince really wake up one day? As the world watched the sleeping prince's story unfold, another story, quieter but just as powerful, was taking shape beside him. While Prince Khalid's faith kept his son alive, a young woman's love refused to fade. Before the accident, Prince Al-Walid had been newly engaged, ready to start a life with the woman he loved. But when tragedy struck, she made a decision few could ever imagine. She vowed to wait for him, no matter how long it took, and she kept that promise for over 20 years. Can you believe it? 2 entire decades of waiting, hoping, and loving someone who couldn't even open his eyes. Family sources say she visited him often, sitting quietly beside his bed, sometimes holding his hand, sometimes just watching him breathe. She never sought attention, never gave interviews. Her presence was steady, a silent heartbeat in the long stillness of his hospital room. In time, her devotion became the emotional mirror to Prince Khalid's faith. While a father prayed for his son's soul, a woman loved beyond time and circumstance. Isn't that insane? How 2 people could stay bound by love and belief, even in the face of impossibility. Arab media began calling her the Sleeping Prince's eternal bride, a name that captured both her sorrow and her strength. Her story spread online, turning her into a symbol of unconditional loyalty. In a world where patience rarely lasts a day, she waited 20 years, and through her quiet endurance, she became a living reminder that real love doesn't end when someone falls asleep. Her devotion didn't just move his family, it moved the world. By now, Prince Al-Walid's story had grown far beyond the walls of his hospital room. It became a global phenomenon, shared by millions who found in it something deeper than tragedy, a reflection of faith, endurance, and the mystery of life itself. From Arabic news outlets to Western media, the story of the sleeping prince made headlines. He wasn't just seen as a comatose royal. He became a symbol of hope, proof that love and belief could outlast even the longest silence. Can you believe it? A man who hadn't spoken or moved meaningfully in 20 years had managed to touch hearts across continents. Religious scholars began referencing his condition in sermons and discussions about miracles, fate, and divine will. They debated whether his prolonged survival was a medical anomaly or a spiritual sign, perhaps even a divine test of patience and faith. Online, people affectionately called him the prince who slept through a generation. Entire communities followed updates on his health, praying for recovery and sharing personal stories of perseverance. His legacy even inspired charities in his name, helping coma patients and families facing similar challenges. His image, peaceful, unaging, and still, became a quiet reminder of life's fragility and the thin line between consciousness and eternity. It was more than a story now. It was a modern-day parable that united faith, science, and the unbreakable human spirit. But even stories built on hope must one day find their ending. After more than 2 decades of waiting, praying, and believing, The moment everyone feared, yet somehow never expected, finally came. On July 19, 2025, the royal court announced that Prince Al-Walid bin Khalid bin Talal Al Saud had passed away at the age of 36. The cause was reported as cardiac arrest, his body finally giving in after 20 years in a coma. Can you believe it? The same prince who had once defied all medical odds, whose faint finger movements had sparked global hope, had now quietly slipped away in his sleep. After surviving the unimaginable, his story ended in silence, just as peacefully as it had unfolded. When the news broke, Saudi Arabia went into mourning, and social media platforms were filled with tributes, photos, and messages from across the world. Thousands of people expressed their condolences to the royal family, calling the prince a symbol of patience, faith, and endurance. Even those who had never met him felt a strange sense of loss, as if someone they'd been silently praying for had finally gone home. His father, Prince Khalid bin Talal, released a brief but powerful statement that captured decades of faith and pain in a single line. He lived in God's mercy and returned him to peace. The funeral was held in Riyadh, attended by senior royals and citizens alike, and as his body was laid to rest, the nation reflected on a life that was never truly lived, yet deeply moved millions. It wasn't just the end of a royal chapter. It was the farewell to a story that had become a mirror of love, hope, and divine endurance. Even after 20 years of silence, Prince Al-Walid's story spoke louder than words. It wasn't just the tale of a prince in a coma. It was the story of a father's faith, a woman's undying love, and a family's refusal to let hope die. Can you believe it? 2 decades without a voice. Yet his life continues to echo through the hearts of millions. His passing may have ended a long vigil, but the sleeping prince left behind a timeless message that love and hope never truly sleep.